Hey everybody, Ron here and Jules.
Hey guys.
Time for another Fallout Hobbies live stream. Today we're going to be lighting up this real grade Zeong from Gundam. I'm going to wait just a minute, let a few people kind of trickle in here for the stream. I've already been doing a little bit of work on this guy. I got 3 of the rockets lit up, but they're not going to work until I actually solder this. So we're going to finish up the other 2 on camera today, which the pieces for are right here. And we're going to solder those together.
Michael Rusaw is checking in with us.
Hey Michael, what's going on? And then the other one is we're going to put lights in this really big, like 6-engine rocket, which is on the underside here. And here I'm going to do a test so you can see this one. That's what the other side looks like. So we're going to do this side today. And then we're going to wire the whole bad boy together and see how it all works out. I've been working on this guy for a few days. These real grade kits are very nice. They very much build themselves in a lot of ways, and the detail in them is amazing. I did do a repaint because all these purple areas were blue in the original kit, and these antler looking things were red. I know it's not the color that it was in the anime, but I don't know. I just really wanted to do something different and make it like unique and not the standard build. And I really love making purple Gundams, so that's kind of my thing. I like purple Gundams, purple Zeong Gundams. Look at these hands. Did I show you these hands, babe?
Mm-hmm.
Look at these fingers. Here, you'd love this. Play with these fingers. Seriously, they bend.
Oh wow, they're like all
Yeah, they're super articulated.
Yeah.
They come cast like that.
Oh, that's really cool.
They actually cast that gray plastic right on top of the light gray plastic on top of the dark gray plastic.
Nice.
Yeah. Is that neat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're very cool. These real grade kits are quite nice. The detailing in them is exquisite. That's why I'm saying they kind of put themselves together, you know? You can do a real quick paint job on it, a little bit of pen work, and it just kind of all comes together, and it's super detailed, and there's all these nice little lines and panels and angles and stuff, and it's just really a pleasant build. This head got an LED in it, which I just showed a minute ago. That was incredibly simple. It literally is I just drilled a hole in the neck, and then there's some internal mechanisms, and I drilled 2 holes and was able to run the wires right out the back side here. So not much damage. The whole mechanism still works. Everything still moves like it's supposed to. The head still turns and all that, so I didn't have to do any of that. The only downside is this head actually was supposed to be able to come off and be like its own escape pod, so the head can't come off on my build, but no big deal. There were these engines here that I could have lit up, but I felt like they weren't lit up all the time. They were kind of like extras, and I felt like it would have just been like real overkill blasting right down on the top of the body over here, and it would have just been like, I don't know, it would have been too much. There's already like a ton of lights in the bottom of the chassis, so you know, we're gonna keep it with that.
Brian Onstadt and Ryan Meredith are checking in with us too today.
Hey guys, how you doing? Just working on this Gundam. So I'm going to start with the simpler ones because like I said, I already got 3 of these engines done. I'm going to just quickly wire up these 2. It's very easy to install these micro LEDs. The first thing I got to mention is the LEDs, you have to kind of bend the wires here a little bit so you actually get the diode facing outward. And the other thing too is drilling proper wires, proper channels, I mean, for the wires. These are the end caps. They're already done and painted. I bought this low RPI drill off of Amazon for like 20 bucks. This is great when you're drilling through plastic because regular drills, like regular Dremel drills, unless you have one with a good variable speed on it, tend to kind of be like overpower. And they tend to just kind of be like real strong and real fast and like drill right through things. This is a very low RPI drill, which means you get a little bit more control and it's a little bit more stable. I'm drilling one hole in there, and there's this kind of like open channel in the back of the socket here. I'm going to drill another hole right in there.
Luke says, I painted a Jesta for a friend in 2019. He says, yay, Gundams. They are fun.
They are fun. Jesta is a good one. I like the Jestas. I have done Yegan's, which was close to a Jesta. There we go. See, you drill it on both ends and the wire just goes right through. Now, here's the thing. You want to spend a little bit of time, not much, just trying to make sure that the LED is actually sticking out and aiming out of the engine properly. Because if you don't want it like off to the side or uneven, you don't want it too far back, you know, to get the right amount of light. I feel like I'm a little blinded from staring at that too closely. I try to get that relatively centered. Okay, great.
He says it was a great kit.
Yeah, the Jesta is a pretty nice kit. I'm assuming the MG Jesta. Hold on. My super glue got clogged up at the end.
Yeah, he says, yeah, the MG. He might get himself a Gundam Unicorn one day.
Yes.
Didn't we do one of those for a live stream?
Unicorn? No, we did a kit from Gundam Unicorn, but not the Unicorn kit itself.
Ah.
That was this guy. The Zegok that I have over here. He was from Gundam Unicorn, but he's not the Unicorn, obviously. That was the main Gundam that was in it.
That's what I meant. I meant we did one from
the series, yeah. I've done a bunch from Gundam Unicorn. The one that I finished last week was from Gundam Unicorn, too. Gundam Unicorn as a show was so-so. But, I mean, it wasn't the worst, but it definitely wasn't the best. But it did have a lot of nice suits, and it had a lot of nice, like, classic suits with good, like, repaints on them that I enjoyed. Especially, like, the Neo Zeon suits. There we go. Okay, that one's in. So I will add it to the wires that I'm running over here. This is all going to get soldered in a few minutes. I just got to build the other thruster out. Okay, so 4 out of 5 done on the back of the Zeong's butt rockets.
Luke says that one thing with the Gundam kits, even more so with the newer kits, is the hands. My friend finally got his hands on a Faz, and that big boy, and that's a big boy for sure.
The hands?
Yeah.
He means like the articulated hands?
Mm-hmm.
Like these ones? These real great hands are sick. I love them. Finger cannons. He's like you. One cannon. Because they're finger cannons.
Mm-hmm.
They shoot lasers out of them. Which is a little silly when you think about it, but pretty effective though. Alright, time to drill out this other side.
Luke says, yeah, those hands blow my mind. They're so well designed.
I'm building a Zazabi Verka 1100 right now, and it's got the really, really nice articulated hands in that as well, and I just love them. Okay. Let's try to get this one here. This one, I feel like the channel didn't get drilled well enough, so I might need to crack it open. We'll see.
Hey, Scott and Dave and Simon, thanks for watching. Luke says, awesome. I'll have to leave you soon. Keep up the awesome work.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for dropping by.
Have a good Thursday. This one's not going to go in easy. I got one wire through. Sometimes they go in easy, sometimes they don't. There we go. Got it. All right, time to add that dab of super glue and get this LED fixed in place.
Luke says, you guys have a great day. Awesome, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Looks like it's about placed, and a drop of accelerator just to solidify the glue. I always like to use Gorilla gel, the super glue gel, because it's thicker and I feel like it's easier to kind of align pieces with it. There we go. Snap that in. What's going on here? There we go. I do super glue some parts, but I tend to leave as much articulation as I can in the kit. But something like this, where it's a little bit floppy and I kind of always want the rockets to be in the same position, I super glue just to save a little bit of frustration with trying to align pieces and stuff like that. There we go.
Hi, Mike.
All right. Now we're going to start soldering this section to get these thrusters going. One thing I like to do when I'm wiring a bunch of micro LEDs together is I choose one wire to be the main connector, and then I wrap all the other wires around it. Then I basically just put a giant glob of solder on here and connect all those wires together. That way I don't have like these really clunky connections or a ton of extra wires running through the model kit. I try to just simplify it as much as I can. Just give it a couple good wraparounds. Now these micro LEDs, these LEDs, the wires are coated in a polymer. So if I do this, nothing's gonna work yet. Well, one of them is gonna work, but the other ones won't work because they're not actually soldered yet. Now, when I heat up the wires with the soldering iron, which is what I'm plugging in now, and solder the connection, it'll connect everything together and then they'll all work as one piece. So I got my very dirty soldering iron, which clearly needs to have a tip replaced on it. I gotta find my bag of tips. And I've got my 20-year-old thing of flux going on here. Where's the brush? There's the brush. I have a brush that I use just for painting some flux on the areas that I'm about to wire. I found out especially these wires that have the polymer coating on them, the flux really helps the solder travel along the channels as it's intended to, but if you don't do that, it can kind of get a little, it could like bead up, like the hot solder could bead up and like roll off the wires or do weird things. So if I paint a little bit of flux on it, it helps the solder travel and fully encase everything. Just give it a minute. All right. All right, that should be enough. Yep, there we go. All 5 lights nice and connected. Let me turn the soldering iron off for a minute so I don't accidentally burn myself if it rolls off the table and onto my legs, which I have done plenty of times. So as you can see, these wires are pretty thin. That being said, you can still kind of smush them in a little bit more so you don't get any gaps when you attach them to the other piece. So I'm just going to use my X-Acto knife here a little bit and just carve out a little bit of space for these wires so that the parts still fit flush. There we go. Travel the wires over some of these channels here. This is pretty important with some pieces, not as important with others. In this situation, not as important because this piece is kind of like hidden under the back area of it, so it's not like a very visible piece. But if this were like, say, an arm or a leg or something like that, you'd want to spend a little bit more time making sure that all the wires were properly concealed. Also, I tend to use thinner wire when I'm doing like leg joints or arm joints, thinner enamel wire, because I want to retain as much articulation as I can. And the thicker wire will stiffen the joints up or maybe prevent something from moving as well as it could. There we go. So that's all kind of smushed in there. And these pieces are just sticking out the back. And that should fit pretty flush, I think, with the other piece. So let's get that in there. I always do checks periodically throughout installing pieces to make sure that nothing got cut loose or anything like that.
Hey, Alan.
There we go. Piece fits nice and tight. And now he's got butt rockets. Seriously, they're butt rockets. I'm just checking this out to see how this all moves. This piece could probably just get completely cut off, honestly. I don't think I even need this piece here. I don't see where it's connecting to anything. The main connector for the waist is up here. Maybe if I'll just drill out the top. I don't need to drill out the whole thing. I could just drill out the top. But let me bend these up. There we go.
Alan says, hello to both. How are we today? Had an eventful day with my 4D printer? I think 3D, probably a typo. Feel like throwing it out the window.
Yep.
What kind of printer do you got?
We got days like that too.
I think one of the things we should do when we move into the new house is we need like a backup in case of like a storm or power outage if something is like printing for like a long period of time.
Yeah, I all those battery backups though only last for like 15 minutes at most. If it's like a long power outage,
You're still screwed.
Still screwed no matter what.
Unless we get like a whole house generator.
Yeah.
Could do. Bob says it prints alternate dimensions. 4D.
Oh, I see. That sucks. I might need to dig that out a little bit more. I feel like there's a little crunch happening there. So let me figure that out. But let me just make sure the butt rockets are still working.
Oh, yeah. Alan says he got an Ender 3 Pro. It's a FDM printer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Prints alternate dimensions.
Bob says maybe solar panels. Yeah, we're thinking about that.
Well, we were gonna eventually solarize the house, the new house that we're gonna get, but
that's gonna be like a little ways away.
Yeah, the biggest thing is like, you know, the battery backups are good for the 3D printers if it's like a small, like quick brownout, but if it's anything beyond that, you're kind of boned. And it sucks when you're running like, you know, like
12-hour print.
Some of the prints that I run are like a day and 7 hours, you know. If I'm doing like a big bulk print job, it could be like 36 hours or something print job, and then it's just dead. And then, you know, that's like, you know, $50 in material.
Actually, we have this conversation all the time around tax time. We do actually write off models and so forth as business expenses.
They are business expenses.
You know. But he was saying, Amori says that we should light a full-scale Warlord Titan and write it off.
Right.
Like one of the...
Yeah, the Warlords are huge.
Huge dudes.
Funny story, when Jules and I, you know, got together, my ex-wife used to get very mad at me for buying models all the time. And she'd spend money on tons of stupid shit, but she get mad at me all the time for buying models. And when Jules did taxes for the first time, she's like, you know, you really should buy more models because they're good tax write-offs. And I was like, what? Buy more models? I love this woman. Buy more models. It's a tax write-off.
Was that what made you decide to marry me?
Weren't we? No, we weren't married at the time.
No.
It's on there. It's a list. It's definitely on the list of reasons why I married you. Buy more models. It's a tax write-off. Okay, so right now, these engines are done, and this engine is done. Let me just light it up again so you guys could see. That's that engine. There we go. And then that's these engines. Now, I'm going to do this one other engine pod, and then we'll be able to connect all that together. So this one's a little trickier. It's similar to what I did with the last one, but there's 6 of them, and there's some extra steps involved.
Bob called us cutie pies.
Uh-huh. Blow that debris out of here. Okay. So there's just some little scraps I'm just going to clean out here with the knife real quick. And that. Okay. Pretty good. All right, so just like the other ones, you have to bend these LEDs at a 90-degree angle at the top so that the diode actually aims outwards. So I'm preparing 6 of these for that.
Roger Randall is checking in with us too.
Hey, Roger. Wait, Roger and Randall? Or is it just Roger and his last name's Randall?
Last name's Randall.
Got it. Okay. I thought you were saying... Never mind. I'm just a dumbass. Let's make sure all these scraps are out of here. Alright, so this is just like the other ones. You got to get the diode in there. You want to get it kind of centered. And then you want to put a glob of super glue and a glob of accelerator. I like to keep them all about the same height too when I'm installing them so that the light looks as even as it can be across all the engines. So I bring it down about, maybe like a millimeter. So they're all roughly the same height when they're installed. I'm also eventually, when this is all said and done, going to be putting like a little photo etch piece over top of each thruster. That'll make it look a little extra realistic. They make these really nice photo etch pieces for Gundam kits. Anyone that's built a Gundam would be familiar with them. And they're like extra, vents and thruster covers and stuff like that. But if applied properly, they really look cool. And I'll actually show you guys an example of that in just a minute as soon as I'm done installing these. Because I built a model, I finished building a model last week that used them. 3 down, 3 to go. See, this doesn't take any time at all, really. I think a lot of people get very, like, scared off by, like, installing lights, but it's really not that bad. And if you've done it, like, a handful of times, it's pretty all common sense after a while. Just the biggest thing is don't cross the wires and make sure it's all the right voltage.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
One more left to install.
Travis says it's not the installing them, it's hiding the power supply and switch that's the hard part. Well, that's actually the nice thing about the micro LEDs is they can fit underneath the base in like some of the smaller models, and we have base risers for them too.
Mm-hmm. Like if they're using, like some of these low voltage ones, if you're only using like a few LEDs and you use like one of our lily pad battery clips, that's not bad at all.
I'm going to show them. I'll put a link in the comment feed.
Just threading out the positive and negative wires. Okay. So like I said, I pick one wire to be the main wire, and then the rest of them just kind of wrap around it, and then I snip off all the extra.
Here, Travis, I put 2 links in the comment feed for you. They just won't fit into a base that's smaller than, I think, 40 millimeter.
40 millimeters, yeah.
Bob says, I burnt the ever-living shit out of my arm on a girlfriend's hair straightener, so I've been a skeptic ever since. Travis says, that's awesome. Do you guys have sizes for MG fundamental kits?
MG what?
Fundamental kits.
I'm not sure if I know what that is. I mean, does he mean like Gundam MG kits? Like the 1/100 kits?
I think so.
Well, the micro LED kits are pretty universal.
Yeah.
And they can go in just about anything. And the battery, the battery clips will fit in in just about every MG kit. But like this guy right here, for instance, this was an RG kit at 1/100, and I did a live stream on here, and his battery clip.
Oh, he says, yeah, not fundamental Gundam kits. Yeah. They will fit.
This is an RG kit, and the battery clip fits in the back here of this guy. So, there's one example. He's got some schmutz on him. some schmutz on the clear plastic here that I need to clean off. But yeah, so I'm just going to put that guy off this side. He's just going to watch me. So I did the same thing I did with the big one. I painted a little bit of flux on this channel. I'm going to be soldering it in a moment, and then I want to show you guys the one kit that I finished last week, which I think turned out pretty well.
Travis says, "Oh my God, future headaches erased." Yeah, we try to come up with stuff that shortcuts or make things a little bit easier.
That's pretty much the whole Fallout Hobbies MO.
Yeah.
It's like as many, if we can like save people time, that's pretty much what we do. See, this thing's doing the thing I said. Now the solder is not connecting over it. It's just kind of balling up around it. Come on. Get on there. Get on those wires. There we go. That's because of the enameling on the wires. It makes the wires a little slippery, I guess would be the right term. All right. Moment of truth. Hopefully this worked. Great. All 6 of them work. Perfect. Let me unplug the soldering iron again so I don't burn myself. And let me grab the example that I was talking about. Let me see how well I can fit this under the camera, because the camera's pretty close to the table right now. There we go. So this was a custom 1/100 Regelgu, which was a conversion of the regular Gelgoog. And I added micro LEDs all throughout this thing. Micro LEDs in the weapon, micro LEDs in the shoulder pads. I designed the shoulder pads and stuff. Micro LEDs all throughout the feet, on the back there. And if you look really close into the feet, there's photo etch pieces in all the thrusters there. So it actually really looks like a vernier, a proper vernier. I don't know how much you can see that on camera. It's kind of blown out. And let me turn it off for a second. There we go. So you could see the photo etch piece is all up in the, oh, there's a chip right there. Damn. So there's photo etch pieces all up in the verniers, the feet, and whatnot. This guy's all of his lights. There's butt rockets again. More butt rockets. I love the butt rockets. I tapped the camera. This guy, I had to hide some AAA batteries under the Gundam base because he just had too much. I couldn't use a coin cell battery. It wouldn't even have enough juice to power the whole thing. Here, he's going to hang out with you.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. The Raquel Goose going to hang out over there. I do sometimes build Gundams without lights, but that's very rare. Most of the time when I do that, it's because I'm either like building something with my kids and want it to be more articulated, or there's a few that I built just because I just wanted to build something, and I probably will eventually take them apart and light them, but I just haven't done that yet. I very much enjoy putting lights in Gundams because I feel it's just kind of like the perfect use for them. There we go. Let's put these pieces together. I forgot to put a couple dabs of super glue on here. Alright, that piece is on there. Now, here's the thing. This piece in particular does need a little bit of modification. The way that they positioned the mounting pins on it is right where the wires would have needed to come out for the engines. But that is an easy fix where you just basically snip off the mounting pins and apply a big glob of super glue. No one's going to see it. It's all jammed up in the back side of the model. It's fine. Or that's what I tell myself, at least. There. You just want to make sure that the positioning is still good.
Bob says that heart-shaped jet skirt thing looks like a decent Necron heavy destroyer kit bash.
It does, actually, and that's really, really funny that you mentioned that, Bob, because back in the day, and I'm talking about like way back in the day, like maybe 15 years ago or something, I was making a Necron army myself at the time, and they didn't have this kit, but they did have a an older version of it that was MG scaled, where it was maybe about like this big, roughly, and it had the heart-shaped skirt thing, and then like, you know, the torso coming up like this. And I was dead set on converting that into like a Necron Super Heavy. And I'm talking this is like maybe like 4th edition, like early 4th edition, when I was thinking about doing this. And it was an idea that was like really stuck in my head for a while. And I never got around to it because I was like bouncing around with a bunch of different army ideas and stuff. But yeah, I totally agree. It does look like something that could be converted into a Necron. It's the same shape as the hover tank, as the hover guys with whatever they're destroyers. That's what they're called. Yeah, it's pretty much the same size as the destroyers, so it would make a good conversion. Okay. Let's just get a glob of super glue down on this side over here. And then I can put them in mounting pin. Some accelerator to close that up. This piece just pops in. And there we go. Click. There it is. I live for the click. Okay. So, again, I'm just going to wrap 2 of these around one of them to create like a single.
You know, we could do a Titan, like, you know, maybe in the wintertime or something like that. Especially since, you know, we get our handy dandy discount.
That comes from, the Titans come from Forge World, not GW.
Oh, so that wouldn't apply to us?
Would not apply to us. No, it's a separate company.
That's so sad.
I know. Even though they practically look like they're the same company, Forge World is technically a separate company from GW.
Mm. I thought, like, our discount applied to both.
I don't even know if Forge World does wholesale. They're very elitist. I know that it took like forever for them to just get Forge World models in American stores, like GW stores. There is a ton of Chinese recasters, but everyone frowns upon that for good reason. If anything, I would 3D print my own. There are some really good companies out there that make proxies for Titans, and they're not exact duplicates. Some of them are, similar in theme, but their own design. There was one guy last week that actually got a C&D from Games Workshop for having a Eldar-ish looking Titan, but it wasn't exact. Pretty much every detail was different. It just looked similar, but was still different enough. Games Workshop did a C&D on him. So the guy just decided to say, fuck it, and stop selling the file and just released it for free for everyone.
That's pretty funny.
That's what happens.
Yeah, but we can't, like, show that on a live stream or whatever, so...
No.
That's why I said just buy one. It could be a birthday.
Nope. Well, I could buy a Forge World one.
That's what I mean.
I might buy a Forge World one and write it off. I always did want to build a nice Chaos Reaver. But I actually wanted to buy an Imperial Reaver and add the Chaos details myself and paint it with the Imperial insignia, but have it like faded away and have it look like the Chaos insignia is like kind of like growing over the Imperial insignia. You know?
Yeah.
Because there was all those Traitor Legions that had some really cool like iconography and flair, if you will. And then the Chaos ones have really cool spikes and chains, but they're kind of generic. I kind of wanted to like combine them. I would play it as a Chaos Titan, though. As a Chaos Reaver.
You could show it off at the table for Nova Open.
Yeah, if we ever go again.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll actually be back next year.
Who knows? Maybe if the new COVID variants don't wipe everyone out, then yeah, maybe they'll come back. There it is. Look at that. All those pretty, pretty rockets. They're
Nice.
so pretty. Look, it's like a heart of destructive propulsion. This is how much I love you, babe. I love you, Gundam butt rockets. Anyway, I got weird for a second. So, here we go. So that's it for that, really. And what I would do at this point, what time is it?
It's 2:49, 2:50.
Okay, so we're kind of running
10
low on
minutes.
time. 10 minutes?
Yeah.
I don't know if I could get this done in 10 minutes.
Or go longer, I don't care.
There's a piece. What I'm trying to figure out right now, the last thing I'd really need to do is connect these two wires here to this, and then connect these two wires coming out the bottom here. This little weird chunk thing is where the stand connects. I have the stand right here. Actually, I don't think I have time for this because it's going to require a little bit more planning. what I want to do is just figure out a way to drill a wire out the back here, so I could put a connector and then have wires running down here, so that I could hide batteries under the base, somewhere under the base.
Travis says, looks great. Anything in the works for new mech stencils other than the ones we got?
Stencil? Well, I mean, I got all the decal pattern ones. I mean, what am I talking about? I have all the camouflage pattern ones that are scaled down. I was thinking about working on some new camo patterns coming up soon. And if I do that, I would release them in all scales. I would release them in the mecha scales as well as like the 40K scales. Like I'm thinking about a different digi camo pattern. I'm thinking about like an alternate hex mesh pattern. Those are things that have been floating around in my head for a little bit that I haven't committed to yet. I did want to eventually, we're looking into places that we can get some of our decals silk screened in bulk. And one of the things that I was talking about with Jules a few weeks ago was doing some decal sheets, just like the ones that you can buy aftermarket for Gundam kits that have, like caution signs and warning signs and things like, jet exhaust and, warning things and weird little like mecha stuff, like these things, like all these little decals that I put, all over the guys. But I wanted to make my own line of them. But the only way that I could get them done to a standard that would be
acceptable for Gundam.
Acceptable for Gundam builders who are expecting the same standard as the Chinese produced bulk decals for cheap would be silk screening it. Of course, they wouldn't be as cheap as the ones produced in China because that's just not humanly feasible in America. But
yeah, we do have some child labor, but
only a minor amount of child labor in this house. A legally acceptable amount. It's character building. It's not child labor. It's character building. Our kids help us pack things sometimes, but that's about it.
Flyers and baggies, that sort of thing.
Yeah, they'll help us with some of the like more like manual labor type stuff, but it's like, TV shows are on and they're packing bags. It's like very minor, and we pay them. They get paid.
Caitlin made like $40 packing baggies last week.
That's right. Teach them young the value of a buck. But anyway, so I was thinking about doing like a nice decal sheet line of aftermarket decals, but all generic ones that could be used on any Gundams. And then I was also thinking about new camo patterns. And I was thinking about making like a nice, like there's a decal sheet that we already have that's called industrial signage. I wanted to do something that was a little bit more mecha specific with that for dioramas and terrain pieces for any like Gundam builders. I do eventually though, however, and this is like maybe a year or two down the line, want to start selling Gundam kits ourselves through the store. But that's going to be after we relocate to a new space and make sure that we have enough room for inventory and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because right now, we've got all of our GW inventory in, but we need a little bit more space if we're going to be carrying like Gundam kits and all the aftermarket stuff for that. So I think that's basically it for today's video. I'm going to need a little bit of time to figure out how I want to run the wires out for the plug that connects into the back, so I don't want to do that just yet. I might try to sneak the connector like through here. So I kind of got to think on that for a minute before I commit to anything. I don't want to make a rash decision and then something not work out. But that's basically it for this one. This guy came together really quick. Here, I'll put the body in. Well, it's sort of in there. It needs to get popped in more, but if I pop it in, I won't be able to take it out. So there he is in his giant hands that disconnect and have hand lasers. So yeah, I'm also waiting on a decal sheet with the iconography for it, because this one company made a $6 replacement decal sheet that copied all the decals that were stickers in the kit, because I hate the stickers. And it was the exact same as the stickers, except it was decals, and it was $6. So I said, yeah, why not?
Travis says, awesome, I'll keep my eyes peeled. Actually, if you go to our main page, or I'll actually just send you a link. We have a handy dandy newsletter, and I think the first time you actually sign up, you get like a $5 off coupon if you join our tactical squad. And anytime we have new releases, we just put out stuff for that.
Yeah, we only send out maybe about 2 newsletters a month, but it's always like whatever new stuff we released, or if we happen to have like a holiday sale, like the Memorial Day one that we just had.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't bomb people with emails, just two a month usually.
Yep.
Okay. Well, anyway, check in next week. I'm not really sure what I'm going to be working on yet. It might be Gundam. It might be painting. Might be some figures. I don't know. Maybe it'll be a dinosaur skull. Mm-hmm. I have no idea yet. I'll figure that out over the weekend. But yeah, check in next week and see what we're working on. And have a good rest of your day, everyone. And thanks for watching.
Peace.